Once again, city staff and consultants experience difficulties answering questions regarding how your tax dollars are being spent. It's not their money after all. Tune in to hear Councillor Lisa Robinson in action. She has publicly admitted that she will try to cut down on any genuinely wasteful spending.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I do have quite a few questions here to get on with. I see that the gravel parking lot is $400,000, which I think is very excessive. Have we done a lot of research on that? The excessive cost of $400,000.
$400,000 for a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Through the mayor to Councillor Robinson. The cost that was obtained through the competitive tender process was not necessarily the lowest bid, because it's the entire tender that is the lowest bid, that was lowest compliant bid that was accepted. So I don't have the information, nor can I divulge how much each individual contractor had submitted for the cost of the parking lot. It did exceed our budget, so I would agree that it is more expensive than we anticipated by almost 100%. We had about $200,000 in there, and it came in at $400,000. But overall, with the entire $11 million project, this is the lowest compliant bid.
Right. So with that excessive cost for the $400,000, do we not want to ask for a breakdown of why it is going over cost and how come it is so excessive? Like, or do we not care about that because it is part of the project? Like, don't we want to try and save as much money as we can? And if it is extremely excessive just for a parking lot, that, in my opinion, is also going to create barriers for those with disabilities in the future. Do we not want to bring that cost down to something that's reasonable instead of just wasting money?
The Director of Engineering Services at the city, Richard Holborn, doesn't seem to really care about trying to figure out why the cost is so high and admits he doesn't know about any details of the breakdown. He has worked for the corporation for over a decade. Wow!
Through the mayor to Councillor Robinson, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the Finance Department or Supply and Services. They would probably be better to answer this question. But typically, through a tender process, we do not negotiate prices. It's based on the lowest compliant tender. We don't know where the contractor puts, I don't want to say hidden fees because it's not that, but certain components that might be bonding or insurance or staging costs, whatever. We don't know in what categories they would put them in. So we can't start picking away at individual items that they have purchased and start negotiating lower price. All we can do is control the costs during construction.
Okay. I don't think it's picking away at it. I mean, I just think it's really, really excessive. And anyone that I've spoken to have said that $400,000 is extremely excessive. And I think that, you know, we as a city should be really prudently fiscal responsible, let's say, for something like that. But I'm getting in debate.
You're getting into debate.
Say. Okay. So on to the next question.
Oh no! Councillor Lisa Robinson entered into debate, which is forbidden.
Are there alternatives that we know of? Well, I guess not. That could reduce the cost while still providing the necessary parking facilities. But again, that's getting into the cost. And if we don't have a breakdown, then I'm sure that you're not able to answer that question.
Well, through the mayor, the only answer I can provide to you, Councillor Robinson, is the way to reduce the price of the parking lot would be to reduce the size of the parking lot and have less materials, less excavation, thereby reducing the cost, but also reducing the number of parking spots that would be available.
Wow! There you have it, folks. In Richard Holborn's opinion, the only way to reduce the cost of the parking lot is to reduce the size of the parking lot. He is so smart.
So basically shrinking it.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that, because if the parking lot's going to cost us $400,000, but we don't know exactly what that entails, I still think it's excessive. That doesn't mean that it's going to, if we were to find out exactly where the funds and why it is so high. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to change the way that the parking lot is, the size or the amount of parking spots. But we can just move on from that if you like. That's fine. And here's the next question. How long is the lease with OPG for?
Through the mayor to Councillor Robinson, I don't have that answer, but I believe it's either, I will check. It's typically our leases are every 5 years or 10 years, possibly 20, but I think it's 5 or 10. And I'd have to find out when this one expires and needs to be renewed, but they are renewed on a regular basis.
How will the construction and the long-term use of the parking lot impact the nearby hydro marsh and local wildlife? And have all the environmental risks been thoroughly addressed and assessed?
Through the mayor, I'm just wondering whether Jana can answer that. I don't know whether that was looked at. I know its proximity to the hydro marsh is not close. It's actually a lot closer to Sandy Beach Road than it is to the hydro marsh. But maybe Jana, do you know whether the consultants have looked at this?
Yes, they have.
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Jana tried to pull a quick one here.
So our team consultants have looked at the area of the parking lot and also its proximity to the provincially significant wetland. And there's also a naturalization area that's there. And the design was very deliberate in that it's not going to disturb the naturalization area, and it's far enough away from the wetland that it's not going to pose any risks. Please also note, though, during the construction, there will be erosion and sediment control measures installed, and this will also be at the direction of our ecological consultant, who, again, will also be keeping an eye on wildlife before construction starts to make sure that there isn't anything there that can be at risk.
Okay, perfect. Has there been any sufficient public consultation on this project? I see that the last public consultation, there might be two questions.
7 years.
Yes, there might be two questions. The last public consultation appears to have been conducted back in 2022. Has there been any efforts to engage in the public specifically about using this waterfront land for that parking area also, even though I know it's OPG's area, but have we had any more consultation on this project regarding how this boardwalk is going to be built or anything as of late?
Director?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Robinson, and Jana can jump in. In her presentation, she had a slide on engagement that talked about our engagement process, which has been going on for almost 5 years now. Most recently was in 2023. That's where we had our meetings with the Indigenous communities and the associations as well. So we met with the Waterfront Visionary Advisory Committee and had a presentation to them twice, once to receive comments, a second time to indicate how we have incorporated their comments into the design. We also met with Pickering's Accessibility Committee and got good comments from them as well. And we've used our Let's Talk Pickering platform. Earlier on in the process, when we were going through the needs assessment study and the concepts, we again used Let's Talk Pickering, and we had quite a bit of traffic on that site for the residents to see what we were doing.
Just to be clear, the city met with 2 committees and did digital online public engagement. Wow! No in-person meaningful public engagement with the people, just the way they like it.